Dolphin fans. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. Ballgame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here, and we welcome you here to another episode of the Finish Line. As always, I'm joined by the legendary Richmond Webb, the Triple OG, put defense on display yesterday. Mr. Ballgame looking so good in the dashiki.
He is looking mighty good. I mean,
so fresh to death that tonight he's going to sleep in a casket.
Huh?
What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
Man, I'm doing good.
Man.
I think Ballgame shook us all up, man. I mean, I wasn't ready for that, but hey, it is what it is. He looking mighty spiffy over there.
Bro, I wasn't ready for the Wakanda Forever look either, but here we are, bro.
I'm waiting on the NFT coin or something. You know, he looking like King Jaffe Joffa from Coming to America. Like, but brother, that's okay. But I think he got some news he gonna share with us. I'm gonna give him a chance to go and try to tell y'all, but you know, he got a promotion, but I'm gonna see if he gonna reveal it tonight. He might hold on to it for a little bit, but good mood, man. I ain't got no complaints. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
All right, he ain't gonna let it go tonight. We're gonna hold that up on our hat. But no, other than that, man, we all good. I just got to mess with Ballgame. I like it though. He clean, he fresh. You know, I was like, damn. I put my A&M shirt on today because you know, Reason was showing my man A-Chain some love on Twitter this week. So I said, let me throw the burgundy on tonight. But I'm in a good mood and getting ready for this weekend. Hopefully a good Super Bowl and all that. How you doing, Mr. Ballgame?
Man, I am great, gentlemen. It was a very productive day, man. I just think sometimes, you know, it's good for me to go into the closet, man, and pull out things that I've got and acquire those to show the kids. You know what I mean? It is Black History Month. So, you know, I try to tap in as much as possible, man, and make sure they understand truly where we came from as a people, and you know, give them some insight on what should be their goals and for individually and collectively for all people, not just Black people. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I wish the news was what you were saying though. You know what I mean? Prime know me. You know what I mean? He know my cousin Willie too. You see what I'm saying? So he know my services are available if he needed them, but. I don't know, man. I mean,
bro, just Colorado, get on as an analyst, Ballgame.
That's it, bro. That's the end goal. The end goal is just to be able to talk about it and break the game down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
You can deal with that cold weather Ballgame. You get cold in Colorado.
Well, you know what, man. There's layers for everything, man. You know what I mean? And it's on the coast. It ain't cold all year long. You know what I mean? If it's cool, but I can deal with it. You know what I'm saying? If he made the phone call, I definitely.
I know you would.
Out of here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not turning down any more opportunities to get to the next level, man. That'd be amazing, man, to be able to go work with Coach, bro. But you know, we'll see. My cousin had wanted me to come to fam at one point too, but you know.
Yeah, I remember that. Wasn't that like last year or the year before that?
Living
right?
Yeah. Year before last, yeah. But you know, I don't know, man. Football is always gonna be a part of my life. But that coaching grind it's unreal.
It
bro.
is, yeah.
Well, you got offered a job at Freshness State a long time ago too, right? But you had your military duties came in the way, right?
I had my military duties, and my sons were right at the beginning of their careers in football, and I didn't want to sacrifice time with them to be able to watch them fully develop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
man, bro. Father first.
I passed on it, but I don't regret it. You know what I mean? Because I think that if I had taken the other path, maybe I don't think I would have ever met you, gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that life would have blessed me.
You've been big time, bro.
You know what I'm saying? When I get
you'd have been sleeping in those shirts. Never mind rocking them as something nice. That'd be whatever to you, bro. You'd be like,
This is big time to me, bro. Because like I always, I mean, like real talk, bro. At the end of the day, I know we friends and all, but Richmond is like my guy, man. Like, I mean, like when I watched Dan play back in the day and had watching Richmond defend, protect him, and to be able to sit up here and be like, damn, I know Richmond well, bro. Like, and then the bond that we've built, bro. I'm as rich as I can be, man. You know what I'm saying? They could take me tomorrow, bro, and I would have lived a complete life to the fullest. And football ain't never left me. Football don't owe me nothing. You know what I'm saying?
We need you to stay a little longer than that. So
Yeah,
we
bro.
ain't
Let's
trying
not
to rush
talk
up
about
out of here,
tomorrow,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Got that new grandbaby
sure.
too. Your grandbaby ain't trying to let you go nowhere right now either.
Yeah,
So
bro.
you got plenty of time left.
Yeah, man. I walk in the house, man. She was dead asleep, and then I started talking to my daughter, and then she's
That make you feel good. That make you feel good.
start crying. I'm like, I can't get you just yet, baby girl, but I'll get you in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's
It's a
amazing.
good feeling, man. I didn't think that ever. You know what the crazy part is? And I know this is a little deviation, but I need to say this, right? I thought to myself that the love that I had for my kids, that trumped for me. Like, I love my parents, love my wife, obviously, but this grandparent, the grandchild situation, bro.
Yeah.
Different though, right? It's a different kind of
Man,
love, isn't
it's
it?
different, bro. Ooh,
Yeah.
yes, sir, bro. Yes, sir.
Because you're seeing your bloodline extended even further than one generation, bro. It's like, you're seeing your bloodline continue. You're seeing you continue on. You look in their eyes and you see, even when we're long gone, our grandchildren are going to be here and there's going to be traits they have that are ours. We're going to live on, right?
Yeah.
But you never truly die to a sense,
Yeah, it's special, bro.
And you get to enjoy your grandkids where you gotta really raise your kids, but you get to really kind of enjoy grandkids. It's a little different. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about something that has a lot of mixed emotion.
A lot of stuff, man.
Should I say mixed? I don't know about mixed. A lot of people are not happy, and I'm going to take some responsibility for this. I might have gassed people up on Mike Munchak, and now people are just not settling for this hire. So let's throw a bunch of information your guys' way for you two and for everyone in the comments. Get ready for let's travel down the information highway on the new hire, the new offensive line coach, the Butch Barry. Man. And I know we're hearing all these things right now, but you got to say to yourself, how can an offensive line guy named Butch not work out in the end? Really, you know what I mean? You got to like that name alone. So let's start off here. This was earlier today. So Dolphins hire veteran assistant Butch Barry to coach offensive line. Remember, he spent 2021 in San Francisco with Mike McDaniel. So this is someone who Mike McDaniel personally knows. Let's keep that in mind before we go into all this too, all right? The Dolphins filled and thank God he didn't bring Chris Forrester and his drug problem, guys. I mean, if he's going to go assistants in San Fran, at least he didn't bring the guy with the coke problem. The Dolphins filled one of several assistant coaching openings from their staff on Wednesday, hiring Butch Barry as their new offensive line coach, according to a league source. He replaces Matt Applebaum, who was not retained. Barry was Denver's offensive line coach last season, brought to the Broncos by former coach Nathaniel Hackett. But several of Hackett's assistants, including Barry, were let go after Hackett was fired in late December after less than one season on the job. Barry is skilled at running a wide zone scheme that's compatible with the Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel's offensive approach. Last year, the Broncos lost starting left tackle Garrett Bowles and center Lloyd Cushenberry to injuries, limiting them to 5 and 8 games respectively. And the remaining personnel did not seem well equipped to run a wide zone scheme that was a change in approach from the 2021 Broncos. Denver allowed a league-high 63 sacks last season, but that was at least partly a byproduct of quarterback Russell Wilson holding on. Everyone knows Russell held the ball on way longer than Teddy did in Denver. Denver was tied for 16th in yards per carry at 14.4. Barry spent the 2021 season as offensive assistant line coach with San Francisco 49ers, where he worked with McDaniel. He spent the 2020 season as a senior analyst with the Green Bay Packers. Barry was one of the University of Miami's offensive line coaches in 2019. Before that, he was the assistant offensive line coach for 4 seasons with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Previously, he was with Central Michigan as their offensive line coach in 2014 and tight ends coach from 2010 to 2013. We're going to get into like North Green. We're not going to get into like North Greenville here in Michigan Technological University, okay? But he first entered the coaching ranks as a graduate assistant at Central Michigan from 2002 to 2003. Last season, the Dolphins allowed 35 sacks. et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We know all the issues and what he's adapting here. Now, let's keep it rolling. So I'm just going to throw everything at you guys in one thing. So after that happened, multiple things came out. So let's start with the bad that came out. This is what got everyone's panties in a bunch right now. So this report here from the Mile High basically has Ben Albright and Big O's tweet in it. So Broncos players apparently applauded during team meeting upon learning Butch Barry was fired. So Big O tweeted out that on February 8th, on a Broncos insider on the Fins Up on the Dolphins, Butch Barry, he's an idiot, got fired midseason for incompetence. Players hated him, openly laughed at him, and called him a joke. After Hackett hiring interim head coach Rosberg immediately fired him, players applauded when announced at team meeting. Ben Albright, who's actually plugged into Denver, a legit Denver soldier, he said his style of offering criticisms without correction didn't go over very well. Left notes in lockers instead of in-person communication. Multiple players here suggested he didn't seem to know what he was doing. Replacing Munchak was going to be difficult for anyone, but, open-ended there, not very positive. Furthermore, someone who basically works for Broncos Country, which is like Mile High Report is one of the Broncos' main go-to sites for Bronco fans. He said he texted a few Bronco players about Butch Barry getting another job. Here were some of the responses. Fins hired Butch, LMAO, Mario Stop, on God. I don't know how this happens, man. How? No idea. I guess sometimes it's about who you know because Shermer keeps getting jobs too. Then the other player, the Dolphins hired Butch, LMAO. I can't believe he got another job, dude, right? Yeah, it's unreal. So they're pointing this very not so pretty picture about him are the media out there, right? But let's go beyond that a little bit. Let's start getting into the metrics and the analytics. What does that show us? So last year they had a run block win rate of 74%. They had the fourth best in the NFL. Okay. And this is a team like we just covered. What were they doing? They were going into a transition, right? I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
The year before in 2021, guys, their run block win rate, they were 15th. And this is courtesy of the guys at 3 yard per carry, Alpha and such. They went from 15th to 4th in run block win rate. All right. So that's just one run block win rate. They went up from 15th to 4th. Okay. So now let's look at the pass block win rate for these guys. All right. Their pass block win rate, check this one out. There they are. They were 9th, 62%. What were they? Go ahead. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
No. I was just reading what you got posted on the thing.
Yeah. So guess what? They were 16th the year before. So they went from mid-tier to top 10. And again, why does this matter? Right? Thanks to Finhead, he responded in one of my tweets here, and he kind of laid it out. And one of the good replies here, he said the starting Denver linemen and their snap count due to injury. So the left tackle Bowles, he only played 28% of their snaps last year. The left guard Dalton Reisner played 85%. Cushenberry, their center, played 44%. The right guard Quinn Miners, who everyone knows I had on the show and I love him, he only played 66%. And their starting right tackle Turner only played 42%. Guess what? Their backup offensive tackle Fleming and the backup center Glasgow also had injuries too. So they put up those numbers and they had injuries across the whole board. And yet what happened? This is after changing to this wide zone scheme. Did they even have the personnel for it? That was a legitimate question. Now I haven't dived deep into their all 22, but I will now. My whole point I'm going with here is it seems like it's more of a personal thing than a production thing right now. Because if we had all the injuries we had, and if we got those kind of production with all the injuries we had last year, and here's the other thing, guys. this offseason, other than Danny Crossman still being here, has Mike McDaniel this offseason made a bad decision? He's made a lot of right decisions, it seems, in this offseason right now. So, listen, I'm going to dive into their all-22, and I'm going to take a look. But first of all, who am I to question a guy who's making a lot of right decisions right now and just got us to the playoffs? Second of all, when I look at performance, sure, he might not be a good people person, right? Hopefully we don't have a Flores thing where he can get the production, but he's not a good people person. But obviously McDaniel trusted him somewhat as a people person if he coached with him before when he was his assistant, offensive line coach assistant, when McDaniel was the offensive coordinator in San Fran. So I've laid out all this info for you guys, and I'll add more, but that was a lot to get started with here. Richmond, let's start with you. You are the legendary, you're one of the greatest left tackles to ever play the game. Okay, 1990s all-decade team. No one's opinion in this community matters more than yours other than people who are in that building right now. Okay, so what are you, and my friend, you basically are in that building. So let's go. So what are your thoughts on this? You've heard now how he conducted with the players. You've heard some rumors of how he conducted with the players, but now you've also seen the production laid out for you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you started with the worst and it started to get better as you kept, revealing information. I think the thing that stuck out is the communication, if it's true the way he communicated with players, not personal communication, a one-on-one, or even if I make a mistake, I don't have a problem with a coach getting on me in front of my peers in the room saying, we need you to do better, this and that, blah, 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 because that helps put pressure on people to perform at a high level. So if you set high expectations, you're going to try to really limit those type of, positions you put yourself in with a coach where he has to chastise you in front of the group, but to leave notes in lockers, if that's the case, that would piss me off. I've always been one that I can take the criticism, this and that, just tell me where and I can fix it, but don't make it seem like everything's okay. And then I leave, I go to lunch, and then I come back from lunch or something. I got a note in my locker and I got to read it. I'm like, why didn't we talk about this in the meeting? So if that's true, that wouldn't set well with me either. I'd rather, if it's tough, coach, I can deal with you. As long as you just shoot me straight, I'm good with that. But
but Richmond, do you think McDaniel would let something like? I don't even think McDaniel would let something like that fly. It seems that Nathaniel Hackett was letting that kind of stuff fly. McDaniel seems like the personable guy that'll say, "No, you have to be one-on-one with these guys. You can't be leaving notes like." I don't think McDaniel would let that fly. In my personal opinion. Anyway.
Well, that's the way McDaniel is. That's the way he coached. And you think when he came in, the first thing like with Tua, I expect you to be great, but you got to work. I don't have a problem with a coach telling the player that because he's got high expectations and I need to meet it or exceed it. But he's saying, look, I think you can do it, but I'm going to push you. So if I'm pushing you, it might get a little uneasy every now and then. You might get mad at me one day, but at the end of the day, I'm pushing you to bring out the best in you. So I don't have a problem with that. I think it seemed like it just wasn't a good fit in Denver. That's where majority of this is coming, this and that. And a lot of time when you're losing and things not going right, and like you said, but when you look at the other statistics, like you saying how it was improvement, even though they had a bunch of offensive line issues, losing starters, this and that, and to still be top 4, top 10 in passing, that's pretty good. I mean, so like you said, McDaniel has done a pretty good job, not only bringing in certain coaches, but selecting free agents, putting his team together. So I'm gonna ride with Coach McDaniel, and I'm hoping that was just a bad experience in Denver, and it's a totally different thing here in Miami. But
you want to hear something? And shout out again to the 3 yards per carry guys. Check this stat out for guys: blown block, and penalty rate. Okay. In 2021, Denver was 22nd. Last year, they were 9th in blown block and penalty rate. So again, shout out to the 3 yards per carry guys for like
we definitely got to correct that. The penalties, and it was a lot of times that we had third downs we could convert, but we made it so much harder on ourselves by either jumping offside or doing something to make it harder. So I think that's something definitely if we can fix those issues, and the offensive line created a lot of those false starts or whatever. So I'm going to trust in Mike McDaniel that, this is the guy, and if it's not, I think he'll do the same thing. I think you get one shot at it, and if not, because I think he's really trying to bring bringing in a defensive coordinator. He's putting it together, and you got to match him. You know what I'm saying? You got to hold Joe. You can't just sit here and just say, "Well, I'm here along for the ride." No, you got to earn your keep like everybody else. So I'm gonna give him a shot.
And Ballgame, before we get to you, just to add to it further here, I mean, just to show you right in front of you. I mean, now PFF, they had a little bit of a different thing here. PFF, if you look at it, so this year they were 18th right here in pass blocking. They were in run blocking. They were 15th this year. Now, last year in 2021, in pass blocking, they were 9th. And in run blocking, they were 18th. So, they were a better pass blocking team by grades. But again, we've thrown a bunch of meaningful analytics where we know how PFF works. Okay. We know the people that work over there. All right. These are interns not getting paid and has to work 26, 20. It's legit, bro. When I did some work for them back in the day. It's weird. Anyways, so my whole point for them, my whole thing is, what are your thoughts on a ball game? Because I think this is one of those things where we got to let it play out. We got to let our own eyes tell us the story, because again, Denver's personnel wasn't made for that. But look at all the metrics they jumped really highly in when you break it down. And obviously his people skills need to improve, but I think McDaniel will handle that. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I sent out a tweet earlier today to what the Big O had said, and my thing was, I know without a shadow of a doubt that familiarity, right, increases the likelihood of success in all things that you put your time and effort into. I don't think Mike at any point went out and got this guy just because he got him, because he knows what he can do with this scheme that he's trying to run, and I think that's a positive plus for Mike to go out and grab a guy that you trust, a guy that you have a relationship with, and a guy that you know has been productive, whether it was in San Francisco, wherever the case may be. Even in Denver now, looking at the metrics, it tells you there that they made vast improvements each year along the offline, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see your team just stay stagnant. So for me, my response today was, I'm willing to wait to see how it all plays out, and if the guy don't get the job done, I at least can look back and say that my coach is actually making an effort to try the process, because staying, not doing anything is worse than bringing people in and make sure that you can get the right guy into the mix. Now whatever he lacks in terms of building personal relationships, I get it. And I agree 100%, Richmond. I like mine raw and uncut too. But, players are a little different nowadays, right? And the guys that are complaining about how the guy approached things, probably the guys that didn't get a lot of reps anyway. So who really cares? Because the numbers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. People do. You see? So I like it. I like it across the board. I don't think, it's obviously not the guy that we wanted, but the numbers do prove to some degree that there was some success and they didn't regress over there along that offensive line. So what's up? Go ahead, bro.
You want people to realize, ready for the bomb to drop on people's heads? Y'all ready for this? They actually got rid of Mike Munchak in Denver because they wanted to go to the wide zone system that we implement, and that's why they brought him over. So he's the reason why they moved off Mike Munchak, because they wanted to move to the Shanahan wide zone blocking system. Problem was they only give him 1 year. Not even a year. We see the metric improvements. But the problem is they didn't even let him build the personnel. They didn't even let him build the offensive line in his image. They just gave him layovers from the power gap system they used to run before that. Right? Like Munchak knows wide zone, but he was running power. Munchak can run wide zone, but he was primarily running power gap in Denver. They were running wide zone back when Lindsey was there, right? In Lindsey's rookie years when they were running like zone out there.
Right. I think the one thing that people don't take into consideration is that like coaches can provide all the technique and all the tutelage, but it still falls on players at times to go out there and execute. And you know, each party has to be held accountable for their part that they play. You know, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of times it's the coaches that get jettisoned before the players do because the ultimate investment is in the players. But oftentimes, I know as a coach, it's not always a coach. If I call Dallas, which is cover 4, but I got a guy out there and he's in Frisco, which was cover 3 for us, is that my fault that he didn't understand and take the time to learn the plays? To some degree, maybe because I should have drilled him a little more to make sure he got it. But
look at a Channing Tindall Ballgame. Would I blame a Channing Tindall on you? No. Some guys just don't process information like that. That's just the reality.
Right. Yeah, I think this is gonna work out in our favor, man. Relationships matter.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you can surround yourself with guys that you know, you can trust, that know exactly what it is you're trying to achieve, you can get your success a lot sooner. And once you're successful at it, it breeds a whole bunch of more excitement and then enthusiasm, and that's what you need in football. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, these guys are playing a game, but it's a grind, bro. When you're out there and things ain't going right, you got in place to strategically help you in the areas that you're deficient in.
Yeah.
Success is gonna come knocking on the door, and all you gotta do is let her in and just have your way with her. You know what I'm saying? And that's good. And I want these guys to be able to experience that. And so when I saw the name, I immediately went to going and looking at the last couple of years of Denver, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what people are. Okay, they have mindset on a particular person, but this guy's been successful. I don't give a damn with a couple other players because every coach, you know as well as I do, Richmond, and you do. Coach ain't gonna be loved by every player.
He's not, and
somebody gonna have something. You know what I'm saying? They gonna be hard.
Yeah. And when Reason said that, it made perfect sense. Like, you know, if you compare him to Mike Munchak, you look at a Hall of Fame player, great coach, this and that. But the key word that I heard you just say a minute ago is the type of scheme that we run. If you run a wide zone, you want somebody that knows that scheme. And if this guy understands that,
knows that.
I remember when
he knows what McDaniel expects and wants executed, right? He knows.
That makes a huge difference.
McDaniel can go like this. That's what people don't understand. McDaniel's going to walk around. He'll teach him to be a better person and say, yo, that note shit ain't flying. But he go like this, right? I don't got to sit in on every offensive line meeting because people don't realize, bro, you are an overseer when you're a coach. You don't got time to sit in every freaking meeting. You just don't. Yeah. You can't spread yourself around like that. You just can't.
Can't do it. I agree. You're right.
I would really like for him, me personally, for Mike, man, to go.
Ball game's a little behind, so that's why you guys are delayed.
Oh man. The second year, I would like for Mike to give up them play calling. I'd like for him just to be down there dealing with the refs, bro.
Bro, you want you want Frank Smith? If Daryl Bevel was the OC, then I would be down. No, you got the guy, Daryl Bevel, but you got to get rid of Frank Smith.
You got him there. Yeah, you got him there. Use him.
But that gets ugly and messy. Now you got to get rid of Frank Smith to promote. Hey, listen. I'm gonna tell you this right now, ball game.
The ultimate goal is to win.
If I was McDaniel and Daryl Bevel walked into my office tomorrow and said, "Listen, I want to raise and I want to be the offensive coordinator of this team," I would look him dead straight into the gates to the soul through his eyes, and I would say, "When can you start? Go move Frank's stuff out of his office, brother. Go pack it. Here's a box. Go put Frank's stuff in it. You know, I'll call security to get him out of the building. All right, go handle it. right? It wouldn't even be close because I think Daryl.
Real
Listen,
talk.
right? How many? What was it? 5 straight years Russell Wilson had a top 10 offense
Top
under
10.
Daryl Bevel.
An offense. Yeah.
Speaks for itself. Thank you very much.
It does.
Every
So,
day,
because
all
we
day.
know who's really the offensive coordinator in Miami right now, and Frank Smith, it's a nice placeholder title. It looks real cute, but we know who really is. You're right. We know it's McDaniel and Bevel. They're who's got Tua to where they're at. That's exactly what this is, man. And that's why Bevel stayed. Because I told you he knows, brother, that like they're praying Frank gets a job. Yeah, bro. Dude, they're praying Frank gets a job so he can just move up cleanly and he can just sit in that spot for a couple of years and then go get a head coaching gig. That's exactly what I'm telling you, bro. That's exactly what the play is. And I don't blame them. Who's Frank Smith? Bro, it's real. So I mean, hey, business is business. I don't know what to tell people, you know. I'm about dubs. I ain't about feelings. So Tua. The numbers came out for Tua's 5th-year option. And I'm going to show you guys. So the tier 1, this is what the tier 1 would have been. Tier 1 would have been you would have made $32.416 million. Obviously, look at offensive linemen here because Austin Jackson ain't making no $18.244 million. And Noah Benogany ain't making no $18.14 million, right?
So ain't getting no 18.
Yeah, Noah, lucky if I split half of my winnings off my bet with you with the guy. And then this is where Tua falls, though. Tua falls right here in tier 3 at the bottom here. He's going to be making $23.171 million. For those wondering, Austin Jackson on a 5th-year option, 14 point. Exactly. Austin Jackson on that 5th-year option, $14.175 million. Noah Benogany would be $11.514 million on that 5th-year option. Ballgame said it, but I gotta ask it. Is this basically a bargain deal when guys are making 40+ million, all this guaranteed money, and you know Burrow and Herbert, even though Herbert ain't won nothing, Burrow rightfully so, Herbert not rightfully so, they're about to probably creep near the 50 million per mark. So when you look at that and $23 million, now it's all guaranteed. Is that, let me ask you guys this, is that a bargain and is that a gamble you're willing to risk, or are you in the field of play it out in the 4th year and whatever happens, what happens, and we pay him off the 4th year?
So when do you have to exercise the
May.
5th year?
I believe the beginning of May. And another thing too, guys, let's always remember this, and I'm being objective. In all sports, not just football, how many times do we see guys who have injury problems or whatever the case may be, stay healthy in the contract year, get the bag, boom, back to what was going on before the bag entered the situation. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Tua. I'm just saying that is something you have to keep in mind, right? Yeah, you got to keep it objective. I got to be objective here. So what are you guys' thoughts on this situation? Do you think it's a bargain? Do you roll the dice? Because I know we've asked this question before, but now we know the number. What are you guys thinking here? Because we're coming up in May. Richmond, let's start with you, brother.
I think you may. I'm thinking they got till May to make this decision, and I think we all agree what Tua has to learn is how to take a fall. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's something you work on in the off season or whatever. Yeah. But if it's something they see, because it's, I understand, like we talked about, I think you in Ballgame talked about is, he's trying to protect his arm, and I get it, but it's the way he falls in the back of his head hits the thing. That I think the talent is there. That's been shown. But if I got to May, if I see him making progress to where I think he's gonna be okay, I might say I'll exercise a 5th-year option, because $23 million is not a bad deal. But if we're going through, I got to May, which is a short window. if I don't see it look like it's a possibility he's still falling the same way, this and that, then I might say I'm not going to exercise it because it's a high probability if he gets sacked just the right way, he could be out for concussions and we dealing with the same issue. So I would look at it right now as an evaluation process. I got to make a decision, and based on what I see up until the end, then I'll pull the trigger. But if I don't see him where I think he's going to be able to figure out how to fall and this and that, I'm going to say I'm going to let him play it out. But if it looked like he's doing, I say, okay, I'm going to take a chance and say, okay, go with the fifth-year option. Because $23 million, it sounds like a lot of money, but 23 is half of 50. And even if it like I said, if he goes to his fourth year and even
there's tackles making that money.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
You know what
it's
I
not
mean?
a bad deal.
Yeah.
And you can always in that last year, even at the fifth year, say, okay, we know this is gonna be our guy. Let's extend it out. And that way, yeah, it helps with your cap numbers. It helps bring it down. So it's ways to still got time to manipulate it, but that's how I would be looking at it.
So Daniel Jones got his fifth year declined. They had the year they had. I'm pretty sure the tag number for him, if they tag him, is just over $35 million.
Okay.
Because they can't, right? If they can't come to a deal, you want to tag the guy. So if the tag number this year is $35 million, so it's so what? Next year will probably be between 36, 38 million.
Somewhere in there.
Right? So Ballgame,
that's not a bad move either.
Well, but see, that's brother, that's 23 to like 36, 37 million.
Yeah.
That's a stud somewhere on the team, or two, if you spend the money properly, right?
Yeah, if you spend the money properly.
Go ahead, buddy.
I don't like counting cats' pockets. I don't like counting cats' pockets, but I do believe in being 100% smart about how you go through the process of retaining players. And if you can get him at 3, right, in that last year, then that pretty much guarantees you can go out and grab you a couple bodies to come in and reinforce some positions on this team. You know what I mean? Like you said, with a stud. And then you just safeguard yourself, right? Before you do it, you just make sure you put something in writing somewhere in the contract that safeguards you in regards to an injury somewhere, you know what I mean? Or multiple injuries that take away from his performance and take away from what you're paying him for, so that you can recoup some of the money back. It's a business at the end of the day, so you just got to be smart about how you do it. They've already committed to him verbally in terms of wanting him to be here and wanting him to be the quarterback. Now you just basically structure everything to the point that both parties are protected. You don't want to slight and not trying to take anything away from him and keep him from gaining what he's worth, but at the same time, you need to protect the investment also of all the the capital and money that you spent elsewhere with all these other players that are dependent upon him. So you got to be. I just think that really just come down to them being smart about it, and having a conversation, having an open, honest dialogue with him, and just saying, "Look, man, like we're really rocking with you, but we need to make sure that you are going to be good because if we make this investment in you, and something happens, I know we know it's football." We got to be able to fall. We got to have a fallback plan. We got to have a plan B, and we can't be out all this money. Right? And 23 is a steal. Don't get it twisted because you're saying that the franchise is going to be somewhere even 13, 14, 15 million more. I'd lock him in and be done with it, bro. And you ain't got to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? You let him play in his 4th year, play that 5th year, and then you look to renegotiate after that. But you got 2 years that you don't have to worry about dealing with the quarterback, and you can go ahead and full steam ahead and know that he ain't taking up, you know what I'm saying? He ain't out here running around with Kyler Murray money when they can get a coach. You got to look at the disaster they don't sign themselves into. Because people don't want to coach him, and then Cleveland Browns will strap themselves into Deshaun, and hell, he couldn't even hit the broadside of a barn with a bazooka.
Love it.
Nobody trying to do that, man. That's bad business across the board, bro. So be smart about it. I believe they will be too. Greer ain't no fool, man.
So. You know, one thing they used to do, and I'm sure that a lot of teams probably still doing it. At least when I was at the Dolphins, the guys that make considerable amount of money, even back then, what they would do is put like Lords of London policy on us in the event that you got hurt, and so Lord would pay your salary. It's not for everybody on the team. It would be like your top guys is making really, really. So I'm sure they probably do something like that. That's a way to kind of hedge and protect. You're going to have to pay some of the insurance premiums, but some of them, if one guy gets hurt, it might cover, all the premiums you paid for one guy.
Because it's all a bet, right?
It's a bet, yeah.
You're in a violent sport betting that this player can reach a certain number of games and be healthy and things of that nature. And you put the policy in place in the event that something happens to the point that you can't, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just smart business. But if they just do it without anything in place, then that makes no sense at all. But I believe they'll make the right decisions. And we want him here. The Dolphins want him here. They've said it. They openly said that he's a quarterback for next year. And you do it 1 year at a time anyway, because ain't no guarantees on anything. So, year at a time, But I don't want to wait, because at 23, that's a whole lot better than having the franchise tax him at 37, 38. Now you create more problems. Now you creep it up in the unrealistic numbers.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones,
now we're getting to now we're I know, but now we're finding out what you find out what paying a quarterback is like real quick when you got to pay a franchise tag like that. You know what I mean? Because it's all guaranteed too, right?
Freaking
play around.
Yeah. So, like Kirk Cousins, nobody made more money than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and he ain't won nothing. So, guys, I asked this on my show this week, does the NFL have a concussion problem? And that's just because, according to data released by the league, there were 149 concussions suffered over 271 games this season. That's an 18% jump from 2021, which only had 126, and a 14% higher than the 3-year average of 130 between 2018 and 2020. Now that what the NFL's chief medical officer does, put it on Tua and the new protocols that they had to instill. But an interesting article, and I know Richmond was a little thrown back when he read this. I don't know if you had a chance to ball game, but Habib said 21 former Dolphins had CTE. Boston University research study reveals 21 former Dolphins players suffered from chronic traumatic. I'm not even going to try and butcher, I just call it CTE. The brain disease known as CTE, according to research released this week by Boston University CTE Center. The number is far greater than the 6 previously disclosed CTE cases in ex-Dolphins. Those 6 were members of the 72 undefeated team of Jim Kick, Jake Scott, Bob Kuchenberg, Bill Stanfill, Earl Morrill, and Nick Bonacani. Because of privacy concerns, the center could not disclose the names of 15 additional Dolphins diagnosed with CTE upon their death. They found CTE in 345 of 376 former NFL players studied. I mean, it's crazy, and obviously concussion is a big concern with Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, I wanted to just ask you guys: does the NFL have a legitimate concussion problem right now?
I think it's more attention probably being because you probably you got the beat. So I would say I think it's just being reported more. It's kind of hard to say. I would think probably more back like when the 72 team, it was a run dominant league back then. Everybody kind of ran the football just, downhill, just out muscle the guy, this and that. So now it's more of a passing league. It's they've even the way they tackle and stuff now is different. The training camps, practices, they've almost eliminated all that. So I think they got a problem. I don't know how they fix it, but football makes so much money. Hopefully it doesn't get to the point to like the Pro Bowl, this flag football stuff. But I don't know how they fix it, but it's more players retire, especially the older, this and that, and they start studying stuff like that. I think you will find some evidence. It's just the nature of the sport. It's just if you study like soccer players, people that use their head and stuff like that, boom, boom, boom. There's probably our most likely chance that they would have it, a high percentage in that sport too. So it's just something you're gonna deal with. Do you want to play the game? I think
it's
the
never
risk.
gonna go away. Yeah.
I don't think it's so. But go ahead, Ballgame.
I think across the board, man, I'm actually surprised that it wasn't more. I mean, when you're thinking about the era in which they took those guys from, right? I mean, you had the crappy equipment, you know what I'm saying? The technology and the helmets was nothing remotely close to what you have today. But I think if you move forward to now, it's an issue based on a lack of fundamentals, right? A lot of guys come out of college, man, they do their 3 years and they're gone, and there's no real technique involved. They're raw, and they're just going out there just playing for instinct and just playing off of, let me just get this guy down as best as I can. And, I see a lot more whip down tackles than I do actual form tackling nowadays. And that in itself prevents it. Brings a lot of issues with it too, because now you got a guy's complete body force, you know what I'm saying, going against the grain, and he's going down, you taking him down to the ground and they whipping him to the ground, and his head is hitting at you know what I mean? A lot of these guys' heads are scraping the turf as they're being taken it down, as opposed to head-to-head collisions that we used to see in the 80s and the 90s, or even in the early 2000s. So a lack of fundamentals for me is I would say that's at the very, very front of why we, I don't think you got a concussion issue. You're going to have concussions anyway, because this is a violent sport. It's still a contact sport. But if you actually made guys go out there and practice the fundamentals of actual proper form tackling, as opposed to just going out there freelancing, you can eliminate a lot of these things. And, taking a player to the ground doesn't have to include you launching yourself with 210 pounds into a 195-pound wide receiver and hoping that you know what I'm saying? If you're going to separate him from the ball, just put your helmet on the ball.
Yeah.
You got to try to knock the dude block off to get in place. And I'm a defensive guy. Like, I used to tell my guys all the time, anytime I saw one of my kids on the play.
It's because everyone likes to go viral.
Yeah. I want the big boom. Yeah, I want the big hits. I see you duck your head, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, you can't see what you're hitting. You're actually standing over here on the sideline next to me. I benched my son plenty of times. And that's the primary reason why he didn't go to college to play ball, because he had too many concussions. Just would not wanted that big big hit, and it ruined it. And now he wants to coach now. And I tell him, I said, what's gonna be the first thing you're gonna tell a kid? Because they're gonna ask you, coach, why you didn't play in the league, coach? Oh, I had concussions. Well, how you get concussion, coach? Because I didn't listen to what my daddy told me and what my coach told me about picking my head up and then form tackling. You know what I'm saying? And he got to live with that. But at the same time, that's what I see every Sunday. I sit and watch. We all do, but we watch so much football on Sunday, and I see the biggest lack of fundamentals across the board, and it leads directly to all of these head injuries. Even the hit that T. Higgins sustained, right? But it's only a big issue now at this point because you got more quarterbacks taking it. And as the names of the quarterbacks change, like the boys up there in the Steelers, he had 2 this year. He was froze too in one game.
Yeah.
But he's not selling the jerseys like Tua selling them. So it wasn't that big of a stink around here. They just changed his helmet, gave him a $10,000 helmet and said, hey, have back at it, right? Go forth, young man. You know you're playing a violent sport. Go get it.
Yeah.
But that's really what it's come down to, right? It's a lack of fundamentals across the board that's leading to a lot of these concussions because there ain't no out there. Nobody really running free. You got wide receivers running free across the middle of ain't no Ray Lewis's nowadays. You can't do half of that stuff anymore. So how are they getting these concussions? They're down tackles. All of these things that aren't fundamentally sound that are hurting these guys. And unfortunately, it is what it is. Yeah. But I don't think they have a concussion issue, so to speak, because you have to factor in that this is it's a physically violent sport. You're gonna have some injuries. It is what it is.
All right, finally, guys. Brandon Graham during the media session, he was on like an Instagram live or something, and listen to what went down here.
I saw you when you were practicing against the Dolphins. Watch your workout. Yeah, that was we thought both of us was gonna end up in there. Yeah. But Tua he didn't hold up as much. Yep. Yeah. But yeah, man, you definitely
So you see, he's flat out says, the Eagles expected that they were going to see the Dolphins in the Super Bowl. And if people go back, remember they had about 4 joint practices before they played us, and then we wiped the floor with them in that first joint practice, and then the second one was canceled. But Jalen Hurts was struggling in that practice. We were shredding their defense in that joint practice. I remember all the beat writers. You can go back because I did cover that joint practice and I had a show on it. You can go back and see, and I showed how all the Eagle beat writers were just like, wow, we got our butts handed to us. And there are people who were, who have said they were there live in person at that practice. And Brandon Graham, who was just talking, when Tua was making plays, Brandon Graham was saying, I thought y'all were telling me this kid couldn't throw the ball. That dude got it. Like, apparently he was vocalizing high praise for Tua Tagovailoa and what Tua was doing against the defense, to where the onlookers were hearing Brandon Graham, basically talking about how good Tua was against them. So what are you guys' thoughts on this, on the fact that, hey, man, teams who saw us in the preseason, when our team hadn't even been unveiled, a team that's in the Super Bowl thought they had a championship roster, and we were right there with them. What does that say about where we were at this year, boys?
I take that as a compliment. I think, hats off to the Eagles for making it, but to make that determination that early, and it's too many factors that kind of play into it. And if we were a team that were at the time already had some playoff experience, this and that, we was going through a major transition. So, I take it as a compliment, but to say in preseason, oh, we're going to see y'all in the Super Bowl, because they didn't even know how they was going. I just take it as a compliment. It's kind of tough to predict that far out. That, if it was about mid-season, we played them and it was a really good game, and both of us was kind of the top in both our divisions, you say, man, we might see them, in the Super Bowl if everything keeps playing. But that's real early. So I just take it as a compliment. But
that's how I take it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Ballgame? Same.
It's definitely a compliment. I look at it the same way. I don't think at any point. I saw a lot of people taking, trying to take shots at, at Tua and things of that nature. Simple minds do simple stuff. But I thought about it, and I remember back to that practice, and we did thrash them. We gave them the business. And him saying that was his own opinion about it. I knew we had some growing pains that we were going to have to go through. So it is a compliment because they are there. But, you got to factor in, too. That Eagles team is damn near one of the most – they got probably one of they arguably got the best O-line game. Yeah. And D-line is a problem because they got proven veterans run. That back end is chock full of talent as well, because the Saints were dumb as hell for letting Charles Gardner-Johnson go for only a 6th-round pick. And then they're pretty decent in the middle, in their linebacking core too. They can match up and run with anybody, and they got experience at every level to overshadow and overcome any issues that they may have for youth and things of that nature. And having a good O-line like they got, Hurts was able to do a lot of different things because you can't really get to him. And they running an offense that's suited to him, which is much like what we were trying to do and get to with Tua. But obviously we know it was up front, but they weren't expecting it. I don't believe they were expecting for Tua to be out there dicing them up in that joint practice the way he did. But for him to say that, I'll take it, because I think we all can agree collectively that, another year on the mic and they can fix this O-line, it's going to be a problem. The league going to have their hands full. If this team can stay healthy and dodge that injury bug, or just minimize how devastating that injury bug is to this team, it's going to be a problem league-wide. Because I believe we'll be back 100% back on top where they're supposed to be and balanced football across the board. And this Dolphin team is going to be a problem, bro. Hands down.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Brandon. Thank you for your thank you for your statement, but we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah. So, your guys' final thoughts before we get out of here? Anything you guys want to add to this before we get out of here and see everyone next week? Oh, and your Super Bowl thoughts. Give me your Super Bowl predictions.
I'm gonna go Kansas City. I'm an AFC guy. If the Dolphins can't get there, I want one of the teams on that side to represent it for us. I don't want anything NFC, nothing at all. Keep it dominant. Let the AFC keep dominating them. And I would caution people to not make rash decisions about things they haven't researched for themselves. Don't just run off and just start thinking that things are gonna be better. You don't have an idea about the person that they were talking about, or you know what I'm saying, you don't have any information that you went and gathered for yourself. If you put eyes on to this guy and you know what he's done personally, that's one thing. But to just be out here running willy-nilly and saying, oh, we gonna suck again, and why you go get this guy? If you ain't did the research, just shut up, go down, shut up, take some time and go do it for yourself. Stop running with everything everybody else said, because at the end of the day, when this guy does pan out, now you look like a jackass out here having said something bad about him, and then you want to turn around and then want to be pom-pomming and cheering for him. You feel me? So just be smart about it, man. I'm sick of this, man. You shouldn't have to tell people common sense stuff, but at the end of the day, it's all, I guess what they say. When you're a fan, they're a fan because they're fanatic about it and they don't care about nothing else other than what is being poured slowly down their throat. But you can close your mouth. You don't have to digest it all. You know what I mean? Like, move away from the fountain. And if somebody trying to push your head and hold you there, fight back, Ali. You gotta know at least. Think for yourselves, man. Just saying, bro. Like, come on, man.
You're right.
How long we been down? People still out here following just because somebody goes out here and tweets something that they don't have no idea about, or go and pull up some bogus stuff. Yeah, man. Come on, man. We gotta be better than that. That's one of the main issues in this fan base. Like we just run with whatever's posted, and then whoever's posted it does no credible research, and then later come back and have to eat crow, but don't even eat it properly. Won't even sit there and eat the whole, you know what I mean?
Plate.
And we don't hold them accountable for that. That's just bogus, man. Yeah.
Follow that one up, Richmond.
But, it is
I don't know if I can, but I'm.
Who you got winning?
I'm a tiptoe into that one bit. Yeah, I played in the AFC. Both teams. And you got to ride with the AFC. Even with the Pro Bowl and all that, we always stuck together. So definitely Kansas City, and just kind of echo what Ballgame said is, just be patient and give it a chance. And you've even seen it with players where a player might not work at one team, and then he goes to another team, and they know how to use him, and you'd be like, this guy sucked when he was here, but now he, it's a totally different player. So I think the thing that really stuck out when Ballgame said that he understands the wide zone scheme that we're trying to run. So you match apples with apples. That's the type of scheme we run. He understands it. He was with Coach McDaniel at 49ers. They kind of run their wide zone. So if you understand it, that's one less thing you got to worry about. And, also like Reason said, he's the head coach, so he can't walk in the offensive line and say, okay, we're going to block this play this way. But when you put people into where you just managing coaches and let them do the job and this and that, and it just takes he's already got enough stuff to deal with. But that's the thing. Just give it a chance. And if it don't work out, hey, they'll bring somebody else in. But sometimes you got to at least give it a chance and not listen to sometimes all the negative stuff, because it did seem like it just came from Denver. It wasn't like, Denver, University of Miami, Southwest Minnesota. It wasn't like from everywhere he's been, it was negative information. So, just be a little patient, and, it could be a blessing for us in disguise. So just got to wait and see.
Yeah, we just got to let it play out. And, again, just because we didn't get the guy we're all hyped about, hey, man, we got Fangio, and it doesn't – and I don't think Mike McDaniel would bring in someone who didn't know what he was doing. And so, especially now you see this feels like way more of a personal hire than Applebaum was last year. Applebaum felt like more of a suggestion from someone, while this feels like, okay, that didn't work. Let me go to where I know is going to work, and someone who I know is going to operate this offensive line exactly the way I see fit. So we'll see how it plays out. It's all we can do, right? So, guys, we'll see y'all back here next week for another episode of The Finish Line. I'm going to be live tomorrow night with Neil for Fin Too Deep. Until next time, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. And you already know what time it is, man. Fins up all day, every day. We'll see all y'all on the next one.
Fins up.